Hello, I'm Brian Madden. Thanks for coming to my website. What I'd like to do here is show you what I've been through over the past few decades. Radio and television, I tell you, I've met some interesting, fascinating people. So come on along with me. Let's take a trip.
Now, as we roll the projector, we go back in time, way back, to the days when I was doing radio and television, including the play-by-play for the Syracuse Chiefs baseball team and general assignment reporting.
This may go down as the great Brinks robbery of 1965 here in Syracuse. The way they got into the place was through this door. Sir, if you were going to do something like this, do you think you could have done a better job?
No. No, I don't.
There was another double dribble today in that feud between the NBA and ABA basketball powers and the ABA's Los Angeles Stars.
2 days ago, Louis Armstrong celebrated his 71st birthday at his home in Corona, Queens. He'd been recuperating there from heart trouble that hospitalized him last March. Musicians' horns all over the world will play the blues now. Louis Satchmo Armstrong, the king of jazz, is dead at 71. This is the main research and reference library at Time Incorporated. These files are updated daily and used extensively by Fortune, People, Sports Illustrated, Money Magazine, and of course, Time.
And nowhere can the lust for skiing be so accommodated and so enjoyed than here, Slovenia, in the Julian Alps of Yugoslavia, the same Alps that are found in Italy, Austria, and France.
Hola, Brian Madden para Soccer USA. Soccer USA, la mejor revista semanal dedicada exclusivamente al balompié. Soccer USA estará pronto en su puestos de revistas trayendo noticias de partidos jugados en todo el mundo. Soccer USA.
Cheryl Teagues, Muhammad Ali, and David Hartman at the Champs' last training camp. We'll show you what you get when you rent a chauffeured Rolls-Royce. Or even if you like the car enough, you can buy it and have all the maintenance handled at Cooper's Classics. These are the Regan sisters from Camp Hill, PA to the New York Bunny Hutch. And join us for a wine tasting for waiters only at Windows on the World.
But when people in New York City want to have fun, where do they come? The Red Blaze! The Red Blaze, let's hear it! But why? Sal Yeager, running wild!
Mohammed, you've been certainly the most interesting person I've ever interviewed.
Of all time.
Of all time. That's correct. Thank you very much.
I love your show in Mario's town, but you pay so cheap. We'll see for a while.
He does have...
Customs officials just this month announced the start of a new program to stop the illegal export of what they refer to as critical technology. Exxon reports... It lasted more than 4 hours as the musicians and others who were affected by his life and his music played only his compositions.
The Beatles have been inextricably tied to my life.
Yoko Ono issued a release saying there will be no funeral for John Lennon. There will be no funeral, but the wake cannot be avoided. As for the storied Dakota, it may never be the same. Some of those who watched were not just anybody. Some of them actually were Irish. Those who would talk anyway.
What are you guys doing here? Huh? Any comment? You have nothing to say?
You're watching the parade, Dara.
Are those Irish blue eyes?
The whole Cronkite family was there. Walter, his wife, and 2 daughters, the mayor and other city officials, and an audience that included Cronkite's replacement, Dan Rather, sitting next to Mike Wallace.
He's a very warm friend to an awful lot of reporters, including this one.
This is not the end for Walter Cronkite. He'll still be around doing television specials for CBS, but he says he can't understand why all the attention. He feels he doesn't deserve it. But that's the way it is.
How long you been in for?
I'm in for 25 to 30. I've been down about a year and a half now, 2 years.
What'd you do?
Homicide.
What's it like for you on Christmas in here?
It stinks.
Of all the men we interviewed, it seemed most of them would welcome one special Christmas present, a chance to relive the circumstances that put them here.
You know him? He's one of the greatest saxophone players you want to hear, man. If you got a style, boy, you'll be surprised, man. This cat plays, man. Brian is a fabulous guy. You really? Okay.
Now, Lionel, how did you like this guitar player today?
I think, boy, he's got a future.
What a season. It went so fast, didn't it? But what about next year?
I think we have a great chance to win first place. We just have to be more aggressive in the pennant race and be a little bit more tougher than we was this season. And I think we got a good shot at it.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
General Motors and the United Auto Workers pick up talks again as GM workers go on a walkout. The town crier gives the news in London. It's a boy for Princess Di and Prince Charles. They don't need a town crier in Chicago, as everyone knows what the Cubs are doing to the Mets. Tom McDonald will have that story, and Cindy Piccoli has the weather. Steve Powers is off tonight. I'm Brian Madden, and this is the 10 o'clock Weekend News. From Los Angeles, I'm Brian Madden with the Olympics on ABC. The U.S. is trying for another gold medal to add to its collection of 16 so far. Today it's the men's 4,000 meters individual pursuit in cycling. Let's go to Tom McKee at the Velodrome.
It'll be Steve Haig of the Skulls at Lake Casitas.
The men's finals are Sunday. I'm Brian Madden for the ABC Contemporary Network.
Sarasota, Florida, 1985. Jazz musicians from around the country congregate for a 3-day festival.
Okay, Elaine, thank you so much, and Happy New Year. No stocks to report today, of course. The Wall Street is all closed down, so let's jump right over to the football man and football mania.
For a day, yeah, for a day. Football, yeah, football, and more football. That's right. It only happens once a year.
There is great physical beauty here, but that belies some of the problems that have been caused by man. We are here to...
And boy, big action. Yankees doubleheader tonight.
Yankees at the stadium, yes. After dropping 2 out of 3 to the first-place Orioles, the Yanks are at the stadium hosting the Texas Rangers with a doubleheader. In that first game, in the first inning, Rick Leach, who disappeared the last time he was in town, makes a great diving catch here to rob Mattingly of a double.
In the world of Hungarian-American athletes, the most famous of them all is Joe Namath. From a Pennsylvania upbringing, he became Broadway Joe. Ladislas Farrago wrote 20 bestsellers, including Patton, which became an Oscar winner for George C. Scott. And Mihai Csikszentmihalyi wrote the oft-quoted Flow, the psychology of optimal experience.
When the clarinet swings, so does the audience. Join the crowd.
The White House, legendary, historic, renowned the world over, no matter who happens to be living in it at the time. Because there is so much going on in the world, and because much of it centers on what goes on in here, a daily noontime meeting with the media is held to keep we the people up to date.
Here on C-SPAN 3.
When you enter the gate leading to the press room, you find the major television networks from here and abroad ready to send out the latest news first and fastest. On this sunny September day, we find NBC's Jeannie Ohm filing a pre-briefing report. And there's a correspondent with a British accent. Outdoors, of course, and with the White House in the background. Nearby, outside of the West Wing, other cameras from Chinese television are at the ready. The renovated James S. Brady press room reopened in July after nearly a year's worth of rewiring, with a reported 500 miles of fiber optic cable and improved air conditioning. As noontime approaches, we find some members of the media taking things in stride, knowing they'll be ready when the big lights go on and the feature presentation takes over. The big-time news-gathering operations have their own areas and equipment, and the reporters are communicating with headquarters in Los Angeles, Hong Kong, Paris, London, or New York. NBC's Jeannie Ohm alerts her people.
You know, it's even got the attention of President Bush, although he does fly an Air Force One and doesn't deal with, you know, the same thing. And I can say, yeah, but for this next hour, that's his focus, blah, blah, blah.
There are cameras all over the place. In addition to ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, and AP, C-SPAN has permanent cameras set up on the ceilings. 3 from the back of the room and another 3 from the front. Also, there will be another 4 or 5 positions just to the right of the podium, where the new information star of the White House will speak to the inquiring, curious reporters. In addition to the semi-permanent cameras, portable equipment is resting nearby just in case, and, not far away, an area set aside for charging batteries. The person in charge of coordinating this complex communications compound is Carlton Carroll, a graduate of the University of the South in Tennessee.
I've worked here for 2 years, and then before that I was in college. I worked for Governor Jeb Bush at one time, and I worked at Housing and Urban Development at one time. I love it here. It's very busy, but it's challenging, and I do something different every day, so it's great.
While reporters get their notebooks ready, they wait for the official 2-minute warning.
2 minutes to the briefing. Thank you.
Just like a football game. But in here, the offense and the defense are limited to words. About 5 minutes later, the press secretary makes her appearance. Dana PERINO, who took over for the retired Tony Snow in mid-September, welcomes the media.
American people stand in solidarity with these brave individuals. We feel admiration and compassion for the monks and peaceful protesters calling for democracy.
While the topic is about rioting and suppression in Burma, also called Myanmar, and flight delays at U.S. airports, this is not enough for all of the major media correspondents to be present. Bill Plant is there for CBS and has been for decades. Others on this day include CNN's ELAINE QUIJANO, members of independent, foreign, and local radio, TV, newspapers, and wire services. My presence here, there I am standing way in the back with my trusty mini DV camera, was strictly as an observer to find out how these briefings operate and how the reporters file their notes. It hasn't changed all that much since the days when I plied the daily tasks of covering news conferences, except for the immediacy, speed, and convenience brought on by satellite and digital equipment, which will still need the human elements to be there and put it together. After less than half an hour, Ms. PERINO ended the session, but she did stay a few minutes to speak to a few people who needed a little more information. Not all of them are reporters.
Well, I'm primarily a producer, so my correspondent is on air right now, so I come here to try and get information for him so he can put that on air, or whoever else needs it in my corporation.
And who's your correspondent?
Henry Champ.
With?
Canadian Broadcasting.
The kind of thing I like.
Back inside, Dana PERINO continues to answer questions, including a few from your representative from SUNY Oneonta.
I actually went to journalism school, broadcast journalism school.
Where?
At University of Southern Colorado and then University of Illinois. And I went to be a journalist for a while and realized that I liked the policy side of things better and worked on Capitol Hill. And then I came back here right after September 11th, and I worked for the president over at the Justice Department. And then over time, I worked my way up.
Well, here you are.
Here I am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Now it's time to get those reports filed. This area is dedicated to print media, which includes still photographers. And the TV editors are taking care of their jobs, making sure the audio-visual elements are sent to the network news stations. Outside, we find other cameras still in place and still waiting.
And now you're waiting for the Chinese ambassador?
Chinese foreign minister.
And what do you expect to get from him, if anything?
Well, see what he had have discussed with National Security Advisor Hadley, and we heard that President Bush will drop by.
NBC's Jeannie Ohm is feeding her report now back to New York, and anticipating an announcement about Myanmar, she has footage of the latest violence from that country to add to the White House statement. And we find an independent correspondent who is finished for the day.
We have
daily drop-in calls that we do to different radio stations, anywhere from Air America to Radio America. We do the left and right, and we call to different shows up in Vermont, New Hampshire, Las Vegas. We're nationally syndicated as well. We provide them with audio clips as well, and I personally call into different shows and offer them my Washington report, so to speak, as well.
Well, that looks like an available light, because if I shoot straight ahead, the sun is behind me, and that's not good lighting. So I'm going to borrow from Fox there, my old employer. And basically, you've just seen a typical White House briefing. A lot of questions, a few answers. Now there'll be a lot of editing, a lot of mixing, and you'll see it and hear it on your local stations. Reporting from Washington, D.C. and the White House, I'm Brian Madden.